What's going on, everyone? So it felt like an eternity waiting around for Jarred Vanderbilt, but he arrived and he has been huge for the Lakers already. I mean, you see the impact. He's clearly not 100% yet. He's still a step or two behind. There's a couple sequences almost every game now where Jarred Vanderbilt will get beat or he'll miss the help or whatever, and he's just like a step behind, and you're just like peak Jarred Vanderbilt doesn't do that, right? But it's fine. He's just getting in the swing of things. He's only played 9 games for the Lakers thus far. But in those 9 games, he has been insanely impactful. He's still one of the best defensive players in the league and one of the best hustle players, dirty work guys in the league, even at like 70% or whatever he is, right? And in those 9 games, Lakers, up until this recent Jazz game, which really is frustrating because it's like they really packed it in that game. Up until this recent Jazz game, Lakers were 8-0 with Jarred Vanderbilt in the starting unit. They hadn't lost a game with Vando in the starting unit, which sucks because it's like, oh man, the record, you knew it was going to get broken eventually, but it's just like, man, I really would have loved to see that get in double digits, double figures, right? But nonetheless, Jarred Vanderbilt is so important to the success of this team. One of the things that I've talked about very heavily is Jarred Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith are the two closest things I believe on this roster now to untradeable for the Lakers. Not because they're just so insanely good or anything, but because you don't have anyone else that can do those things, right? That can do the things that they do. Now that you have Luka, you desperately need guys like a Jarred Vanderbilt, like a Dorian Finney-Smith. And in particular, I mean, Jarred Vanderbilt at his, the best version of himself is the best on-ball perimeter defender in the entire league. I mean, the ground that he covers is it's almost fake, right? It's like he's teleport. It's like a glitch in a video game, like in 2K, right? It's just like, how is this possible, right? Go watch that Warriors series. Go watch some of that Jarred Vanderbilt highlights in that Warriors series and tell me it doesn't seem like he's teleporting around like he's got instant transmission like Goku, right? It's insane. But in the 9 games thus far, he's averaging 16.6 minutes. Obviously, Lakers are trying to wane him in. I expect that to continue to grow and increase, trying to keep him on minute restriction, trying to keep his minutes low. He just got back. You don't want him to get hurt. Again, you need him desperately. He's one of the few guys on this roster you cannot afford to lose. You cannot afford to go down. I do think, though, his minutes will increase because I do think the Lakers are going to run a lot more small ball. And with them doing a lot more small ball, you're going to see Jarred Vanderbilt in more of those lineups, in more of those units, especially because of his rebounding, which we'll get into here in a moment. But 16.6 minutes per game. He's only getting 3.1 attempts from the floor. But again, he's not there for the offense, right? Whatever offense he gives you is just icing on the cake. You're just looking for him to give you the defense and the hustle and the dirty work and, sacrifice his body, chase down those loose balls, create turnovers, live ball, and whatnot. And then that leads to more offensive opportunities for the Lakers. Him getting offensive rebounds, stuff like that, gives the Lakers more opportunities, defensive rebounds, all of that, right? I've talked about how he really impacts the game offensively, but not in the traditional sense, right? He impacts the game offensively by getting, like I said, rebounds, both offensive and defensive, would give the Lakers more offensive opportunities, creating turnovers, live ball turnovers, disrupting passing lanes, all of that. He's a guy that just, again, really does affect both sides of the basketball for the Lakers. But shooting 43% from the field, he's shooting 25% from three-point range, but he's not even averaging a full attempt per game. He's averaging 0.9 attempts. From 2-point range on 2.2 attempts, he's shooting 50% from the floor, EFG of 46.6%. Free throws, he's hardly taken any thus far this season, but he is on 0.7 attempts, shooting 33.3%. It's the rebounding. He's averaging 6 rebounds per game and including 2.1 offensive rebounds. And again, this is in 16 minutes of action. For example, right, the most rebounds he averaged in a game was with Minnesota, and that was 8.4 rebounds per game, and that was in 25 minutes of action. I think he'd be if he played, so looking at his per 36, right? So if you were to look at his per 36 this season, he'd be averaging 13.3 rebounds. I think if he was a 30-minute a game guy, he would realistically be averaging probably around 8 rebounds a game, which also, by the way, I know per 36 doesn't tell everything, but the 13.3 rebounds per 36 minutes would be the most of his career by nearly 2 rebounds. That's how good he's rebounding the basketball. He'd also be a 7. He'd be a 7 and 13 guy with 3 assists, 3 steals, and half a block. Tells you a lot about what he's doing, right? And so again, he's giving you all this stuff. He's averaging 1.2 steals a game, which is funny because since he's been a Laker, he has been exactly 1.2 steals a game all 3 years. Just something to kind of keep in mind. So that has been great and consistent in that regard. But again, it's with Jarred Vanderbilt, it's more about the hustle plays, the dirty work, being the guy that is, chasing down the loose balls, being that defensive menace. And he's only going to continue to improve and get better as he progresses through the season, right? But in particular, come playoff time, right? One of the things that I talked about when he came back is I don't really care how much he does during the regular, like what he looks like during the regular season. Although, I also didn't think that he would look as good as he has. I thought it would take him, because last year he got hurt. And it took him like about 10 games to not even be as good as he's been. Just start to look to be as good as he's been, right? Just for him to start to get into the swing of things, right? And he's looked great. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat, right? He's been very good for the Lakers since his return in the 9 games he's played. But to me, it was always about, and it still is, right? Having him healthy come playoff time. Having him be as healthy as possible and getting him back to peak Jarred Vanderbilt come playoff time. We have 30 games left. I don't think he's going to play all 30 games. Not because, knock on wood, injuries or anything like that. I think the Lakers are going to continue to be very cautious with him. I think the Lakers are going to continue, because the Lakers have a ton of back-to-backs in March. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play in some of those back-to-backs, if not in none of them, right? Lakers, again, because the Lakers know how valuable he is. Lakers know how important he is to this team, especially with Luka on the roster now. So I do imagine that the Lakers are really going to, make sure that they're doing their due diligence and making sure that they're handling what they need to handle in order to keep him as healthy and peak as possible. And that's good. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's a lot of, there's a lot that Jarred Vanderbilt really brings to the table in the levels in which he impacts the game. And I really do think that he's a guy, obviously, again, defensively. Look at his numbers against the top scorers, especially Luka. Even Luka had his struggles when Jarred Vanderbilt was at the peak of his powers. And I do think he's going to continue to be at the peak of his powers, or get back to being the peak of his powers. And when that happens, right, watch out. I cannot wait to see that. I cannot wait to see how the Lakers look during that stretch, during that time, because they're just a very different team when Jarred Vanderbilt is healthy and good. No, Lakers have been one of the best defensive teams since he came back, and it's great. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think of Jarred Vanderbilt? Do you think that he's going, as he just continues to progress and improve over the course of the season, he's going to be massive? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you don't like this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.